Former Kano State Governor and Vice Presidential Candidate of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, disclosed that he and the party's presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, had signed an agreement committing to a single 4-year presidential term, after which power will return to the North in 2031. According to him, the arrangement is based on the principle of equity and national unity, with the presidency remaining in the South for 4 years before returning to the North. Kwankwaso said he believed that Peter Obi will honor his pledge to serve only one 4-year term if elected in 2027. The question on the lips of many Nigerians is what happens if the agreement is not honored. Joining us on this show to discuss Kwankwaso's one-term agreement with Mr. Peter Obi, after which power shifts to the North, is Professor Femi Otubanjo, Director of Research at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. He also x-rayed the road to 2027, as well as the sanctity of political agreements. Good morning, Professor Otubanjo, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Ruben, I'm a research professor, not director of studies at the institute, please.
Okay.
There's a different person who is director of studies. I don't want to be a usurper. Thank you. Yes.
In a country where titles are everything, very important. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for the clarification.
Yes.
The point about power rotation, power shifting, this gentleman's agreement that Dr. Kwankwaso is talking about. I was saying the other day that there's nowhere in the Constitution where it is automatic that power should shift between the North and the South. Okay, why should it be North and South? Why not South to middle belt? Why not, from South to another part of the country? When are we going to get to a point in this country when we'll be talking about competence, ability, federal character? That is in the Constitution, but there should be a sunset clause. Some people have argued. And then why is Dr. Kwankwaso so sure that Mr. Peter Obi, if he becomes president in 2027, will just willingly hand over to the North in the next elections and say, oh, it's now the turn of the North. I've said I will do only a 4-year term. Do these things work like that in politics?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. Fortunately, you and I have had the privilege of working within Aso Rock. Aso Rock has its own logic and culture. Unfortunately, neither Kwankwaso nor Obi have been in Aso Rock. They have never worked there. They don't know the culture of the environment. They don't know what the environment will do to them. It's an environment that tends to give you the false impression of your power and acceptability. By the time they get there and start seeing all the opportunities and powers and privileges, they will not be talking of one term. In any case, to be a one-term president is to spend the first 2 years understanding the system before you can even begin to think of how to implement your vision of Nigeria. And then by the time you have spent 2 years, people are thinking of the next election. At least if Obi is not thinking of the next election, Kwankwaso will be thinking of becoming president. So it's just pure hogwash to be talking about agreement. In any case, you have to ask them, who are you signing agreement with? Who are you declaring your intention with? Is it with your political party? Is it within the National Assembly? So an agreement with who? What kind of agreement? You can only declare that when we get there, we'll spend only one term. But really, that is to assure the North. But the North is assured already by the fact that if Tinubu wins a second term, constitutionally, he will not be able to go for a third term. It will be the turn of the North, automatically. So who should we believe? Who should we trust? The credibility of the constitutional limitation or the verbal declaration of a a pair that had not even tasted power. When you taste the power of Aso Rock and the possibilities there, you will not be talking of living. You saw Obasanjo after 2 terms, was even thinking of a 3rd term. And I'm seeing right now some movement towards extension because somebody is talking about a 6-year term. The critical point is that the North will get the presidency in 2031, whether you sign an agreement or you don't sign it. What is important is for them to face how they can win power and see what they can do with it. But I'm not sure that 1 term is a good idea for anybody who aspires to be president of Nigeria. There's a lot of work to do. You can see with Tinubu, he inherited a horrible economy. They are trying to build it up. I've listened to, watched all the discussion about the economy and the budget and all that. Okay. It takes time to do it. This is 3rd year. This is, in fact, going to the 4th year. Okay. And so we find it difficult that you need to establish yourself. You need to understand the system before your programs begin to germinate and gestate. It takes time. It's not a 1-term thing. The Nigerian presidency cannot be a 1-term affair.
That's an interesting take. So are you saying that it takes 2 years into the office to understand the matter? Because it means that before you come into office, there was no plan. You didn't understand what your vision should look like, and until you get into position, that's only when you will be able to understand. Does that not speak to ineptitude and a lack of preparation on any part? And then if you are saying that this 4-year term cannot work, then should we not now push for, because what you are saying is that anyone who gets elected gets an automatic 2 years, 2 terms, to be able to do anything. So if we want to believe anybody should do anything, we should just prepare ourselves for 2 terms for the same person. Should we then not scrap the 1 year, the 2 term, 4-year term, and just go straight for perhaps a 6-year single term? Because the idea for the term limit is not to automatically assume that the person is going to win a 2nd term. Right? Because then it changes everything. Because now you're making an assumption that every single person who gets elected must get a 2 term to be able to effect any change. So those are my 2 questions. Number 1 is that if you're saying for 2 years, shouldn't anyone who aspires to that office have made their preparation, done their preparation, understood the terrain to an appreciable extent, and not wait for 2 years to begin to govern, as it were? And then should we just not extend the term limit and have to make the 1-term limit any sense, to make sense of that at all?
Yes, thank you very much, Ayo. I'm not suggesting that 2 terms, the 2nd term should be automatic. The idea of a 2nd term is to enable the public to have a say in whether you stay or you are removed. It is. It's not supposed to be automatic. It's supposed to be in which you test, the people tell you what you did in the 1st term. That is in an ideal situation where elections are not rigged, are not manipulated. And you see it in all the democracies of the world, of the Western societies. Trump lost after 1 term, is back there now, and so on. And if you go to Europe, Starmer just left. Governments are changed on the basis of their performance. But that's not our story here. If you look at it, the way people shout, they were hungry, we are this and that. And yet, the APC has not lost a single election in the last 3 years. They have won all these by-elections that they participated in. So the people who are saying we are hungry are the people who are voting for the APC. So it is not that it is automatic. What I'm saying is that in fact, given the experience of Tinubu, we saw that what he inherited was a disastrous situation. We are not out of it, even after almost 4 years. So, and the people, quite honestly, I would have thought that Kwankwaso and Obi will be telling us what they are going to do better than Tinubu in terms of managing the economy, or what Tinubu is doing wrong. Those are the kind of things we want to see, public debate about alternatives that can take us anywhere. It's not a declaration about we want to rescue Nigeria or that. It's just about how do you do it? How? That's what we need for us, because quite honestly, all the politicians in Nigeria are birds of the same feather. What will separate them will be their policies, their ideas that are different from one or the other. But in terms of their attitude, their corruption, their everything, they are both of the same feather. But we need to see what Obi our Atiku can do better than Tinubu. We have not seen it yet. They are not articulating inside. They are talking about agreement, about a position they have not even been elected to. On the second question about why don't you simply have a one-term president for 6 years, 7, that, again, I don't think will be unwise. If we do not make it possible for a president to account for his policies in his fourth term, and you give him one single term, you can just go haywire from the one and do nothing. You must look at the worst-case scenario, that the possibility that the president will spend the time looking after himself and his interests rather than the interests of the country. And we will have no way of punishing him for doing the wrong things. I'm assuming, of course, that sooner or later in Nigeria we'll get to a situation where governments will be rewarded or punished for doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. We're not there yet. Whatever happens, a government will win, a governor will win in spite of the complaints and the failures and the incompetencies of their policies.
Prof, I laughed a bit when you said people are complaining that they are hungry and they are voting APC. Are they truly? Are you not seeing how they are scattering Osun states, how they are suppressing the opposition? Would you say that the election of Edo didn't bring a lot of circumstances? Are you saying that the elections were all good, Prof? I mean, we both live in this country now. I mean, let's say it the way it is. Are we going to say that those elections were the hallmark of elections? So is it that people free willingly voted them? If we have a free ballot in this country, do you think people will free willingly still make those decisions? I mean, let's call it spade a spade. And secondly, Prof, the 8 years they've given people, what have they done? They've just only rewarded the incompetence and the uselessness of these leaders. I mean, you are here talking about Buhari today. He was given 8 years. What did he do? What did he do? Took a country that was at the path of growth, destroyed it, plunged the GDP, plunged everything and all of that. Are we to be living in this society when people like Lateef Jakonde made so much impact in the first 4 years? Just 4 years. We still talk about Lateef impact today. So, Prof, I beg to disagree that you need 8 years to be able to consolidate. It's the inefficiencies. You know, we live in a country where we glorify inefficiencies, and that's why we keep supporting this thing. And, Prof, if people make agreements, they can make agreements anyway, you know, and they have a right to be able to make the agreement. I mean, yes, it might not be practical and all of that, but these are the inefficiencies. So this argument, and I want to go along the line, this argument that you need 8 years to do anything tangible and meaningful, it's not an argument that should hold water. Because even in the 8 years, what do they do? Is it not the corruption? Is it not the corruption that is heightened and bolstered? So my question to you, sir, is number one, can we truly have a system that throws credible and sensible leaders rather than the joke we have of a leadership recruitment process now? I think that should be the major conversation, Prof.
Yes, quite honestly, that is the major conversation. And I think it's somewhere in the book of Psalms that says, if the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? I think that idea of a faulty foundation is put by Karl Marx, and when he talks about the sub and the superstructure. The substructure of Nigerian politics is horrible. Let us not deceive ourselves. Bad leaders, corruption, election rigging, that is the substructure. If you don't firm up your foundation, you cannot put anything that is worthy, it will collapse. So when you are now talking about election, terms, and so on, these are all superstructures that will fail as a result of the weakness of the substructure. We are in a situation, in a terrible, desperate situation, where leadership has failed, where democracy is failing. That is the reality that we face. When you read, I saw you the last time, I was crying, when you read about the kind of thing that Malami stole from Nigeria. And Malami is not alone. And you are looking at others, it's billion here, billion there. Governors are stealing with both hands and legs. That is the substructure that you have. Anything you put on top of it is a joke. Yeah. Whether it's 8 years or 10 years or 1 year, once the substructure, the foundation is faulty, nothing that you put on top will work. So that is the problem we have. We seek ye first the kingdom of God. That's what Jesus said. And everything shall be added. Seek ye first a good leadership. That is the foundation of development in Europe, in the Scandinavian countries. Everywhere that you go in the world where there's development, it is about the foundation, the culture, the moral authority, or the moral culture of the society. A society in which members of the National Assembly are putting billions into the budgets of institutions, where a space institution is sinking boreholes in Zamfara, where they go and collect the money back and use that money to contest election and become governors and everything. The substructure is, we are in a hijacked country. We are like a country, a people that have been hijacked by criminals who are now running elections. And we are supposed to participate in it. So let us look at how are we going to solve this problem of the substructure. All these other details, whether somebody votes for somebody, they are not going to get us anywhere.
Yes.
And the election in 2027 is not going to change our story.
Yes.
It might even make it worse. Whether somebody spent 4 years or 10 years, if the substructure is bad, let us look at what are we going to do about the morality, the integrity of leadership in Nigeria. It is failing abysmally. And that is the problem we should be facing. The elections will come and go. The people that are leading us will manipulate it to their own interests, one way or the other. And we will so be there as spectators, as hijacked people, kidnapped people who have no say. Particularly the educated ones like us who are being marginalized.
Okay, on that note,
God bless you,
Prof.
God
Thank
bless
you very much. We would like to thank you for joining us.